Jason drove to pick me up. A man who was always cold and reserved. Yet he let the new secretary sit in the passenger seat. I knew this marriage couldn't be saved. That day, Jason drove to pick me up. When he opened the passenger door, I was stunned for a moment. A young and beautiful girl was sitting in the passenger seat, smiling sweetly at me. "Sister-in-law, hello." The girl greeted me politely but showed no intention of getting up to give way. I narrowed my eyes and looked at Jason. Jason lowered his eyes to answer a call, unaware of the brewing tension here. Today we had planned to go to the auction together. I was looking forward to this date with him and had dressed up carefully, but I never expected someone else to be sitting in his passenger seat. "Hello, sister-in-law, my name is Lola, Jason's new assistant." The girl's lips curled into a warm smile. She lifted two shallow dimples, making her look especially sweet. "I heard that tonight you are going to a private auction, so I asked Jason to take me along to see the world." "Don't worry, I absolutely won't disturb you." My heart instantly sank to the bottom of a valley. I know this cold and perfect man in front of me very well. He always keeps a distance and doesn't easily let others get close. We came together because of an arranged marriage. After much consideration, we chose each other. Outsiders joke that I will be a widow living alone. But after confirming our relationship, Jason would gently hold me with a warm look. When moved, the corners of his eyes would also turn slightly red. He said, "You are my wife, husband and wife are one, you are naturally different from others." Today, it seems something has changed. But I am not a meek and submissive flower. I am Sophie, who never gets angry while watching others' faces. "Get down." I coldly drove people away without mercy. The girl was stunned for a moment, not expecting me to embarrass her directly on our first meeting. Perhaps my tone was too harsh. Lola was momentarily at a loss. Sorry, sister-in-law." The girl's voice was choked with tears as she slumped into the back seat, looking disheveled. Jason had just finished his call and looked over at us. He realized I was angry. A look of helplessness and indulgence spread across his face. The man leaned over and fastened my seatbelt. Noticing that the seat had been adjusted, I impatiently readjusted it. After some fussing, I was furious. So annoying, why does someone dare to adjust the passenger seat? The air pressure inside the car condensed, and the girl was so scared that she didn't dare to speak anymore. Jason frowned slightly, and he calmly suggested to me, "If you're not in a good mood today, let's go home first." The woman in the rearview mirror was silently shedding tears. I was extremely frustrated. "Lola, right? I'm not in the mood to go now. Take a taxi back by yourself. Jason and I are going home." The girl looked pale and weakly glanced at Jason. The man had no intention of helping her. The girl got off the car in a daze. Jason would never let me lose face in front of others. He has always known how to control his emotions. So he suggested to me, "Go home. If there's a problem, solve it at home." This has been our tacit understanding for many years. She's just a college student who just entered society, why bother arguing with her about these things? Jason pulled me into his arms. "The first time." Jason was puzzled, "What? After all these years, this is the first time you let another woman sit in your passenger seat?" The man didn't expect that what I cared about was this. Everyone in the circle knows how outstanding Jason is. Countless women like him. But he keeps himself pure. Amidst the dazzling distractions, he doesn't touch a single leaf. Jason smiled faintly and ruffled my messy hair. "He can actually make you jealous once." The man leaned down to kiss me, his nose brushing my cheek. "She is my subordinate, nothing more. There will be no other relationship between us." Jason cupped my face, gazing into my eyes. He promised me in a deep voice. A woman's sixth sense is always accurate. Even though Lola and I have only met once, my intuition tells me this girl must have other intentions toward Jason. I originally thought the initial show of force at our first meeting would be enough. But I didn't expect the necklace that was supposed to be given to me at the auction to be worn around the girl's neck the very next day. Helen, as Jason's chief assistant, sent me a photo and a screenshot from Facebook. In the photo, the crescent diamond necklace hung around Lola's fair neck, making her look even more delicate and charming. The girl's eyes were red and swollen, but there was a smile at the corner of her mouth. I suppose she cried a lot after coming home last night. She had received a gift from someone. In the screenshot, it was Lola who posted on Facebook. The CEO said, "Girls must stay strong even when wronged. Wipe away the tears, yes, my CEO." Several cute fist-pumping cheering emojis. And a picture of a necklace placed inside a box. At that moment, my blood almost froze. Although it's hard to say, I have to admit, she almost provoked me to lose control. This feeling is very unpleasant, like the white handkerchief I cherish being stained with a blot of mosquito blood. This feeling is very strange to me. I even thought about ignoring the facts and first driving a yellow Ferrari at 180 kilometers per hour, then slapping that woman twice in the face. But looking at my own hands, I felt that I actually took a low-quality green tea girl seriously, which was really beneath me. I called Wendy from Hermes. Wendy's tone was filled with uncontrollable joy. She assured me over the phone, "Sophie, rest assured, even if we have to move all of Shanghai today, I will make sure to prepare all the goods and deliver everything to you." So on that day, before getting off work, except for Lola, all the assistants and general office girls of the senior executives at Shin Group headquarters, a total of 46 people, received a generous gift from the madam, a Hermes necklace worth 120,000. Although the unit price can't compare to the 2 million auction necklace, it wins by the number of people and is considered fair to all. Helen is tactful. She required everyone to post on Facebook with the caption, "The madam said, every girl deserves better." Clenching my fist, yes, my madam. The girls who received the gifts were naturally happy to cooperate. As assistants and general office staff, they were almost the gossip center of the entire company. Nowadays, when receiving gifts from the madam, who wouldn't happily post pictures with enthusiastic captions? Some clever ones even added a line at the end of their copy, "The madam really knows how to have fun." The influence of assistant directors in the company might not be significant, but their ability to spread information across departments is truly formidable. Within half an hour, the whole company knew that the madam had given everyone Hermes necklaces. As for the reason, the major gossip groups had already been speculating wildly. Lola looked pale, seemingly deeply insulted. With red eyes, she hid away in the restroom to take off the diamond necklace. Two colleagues who came in to touch up their makeup saw her and snickered meaningfully. Lola was utterly ashamed. She lowered her head and quickly walked out of the bathroom, while the mocking laughter behind her grew more and more unrestrained. Her cheeks burned as she put the necklace back into the box, returning it to Jason exactly as it was. Jason had just finished a video call with his partner. He saw the girl, who had clearly been crying again, holding the necklace box and staring at her own toes with a forlorn expression. "What's wrong?" Jason asked with confusion. Before Lola could speak, tears flowed down her face. She choked out softly, looking pitiful, "Jason, you can take this necklace back. I don't dare to keep it." A slight displeasure flickered across Jason's cold face. His intuition told him that something must have happened. But he did not ask directly, only quietly watched the person in front of him. Lola pursed her lips, hesitated repeatedly, and finally took the initiative to speak, recounting everything that happened in the office today in detail. "Jason, I'm sorry for always causing you trouble. I just posted on Facebook to encourage myself. I don't know why the madam found out." Lola sobbed softly. "I didn't expect the madam to be so angry. Women are pitiful like little white rabbits. Jason, I want to apologize to the madam. I can explain everything to her face to face." Jason never had the habit of checking Facebook. His time was filled with work. But as the group CEO, he knew all too well about these rumors and bad habits within the company. His usually stern face grew even colder. I understand, the man said in a deep voice. That night, Jason brought Lola home. The girl was timid, standing behind the man. I called Lola here to have her say things clearly in person, Jason sighed. Sophie, Lola is just one of my secretaries. Because of what happened yesterday, to show my apology, I casually gave her a gift, that's all. I stirred the silver spoon and finished the bird's nest stew made by Auntie. Sister-in-law, I'm sorry. Lola bowed sincerely to me. Trembling and timid. This is the first time I've received such an expensive gift. I was so happy that I lost my head. If I did anything to upset you, you can tell me, and I will change immediately. I raised an eyebrow. Lola, right? The girl glanced at Jason, seemingly trying to draw courage from the man, then slowly nodded. Watching the woman, fearless like a newborn calf challenging a tiger, insisting on competing with me, I just found it amusing. I am neither your teacher nor your boss, and I don't have time to teach you how to behave. But I am Jason's wife, so if anyone dares to be ambiguous with my husband, I won't give her a chance to reform. The girl probably has never met someone as straightforward as me in her life, and on her increasingly embarrassed face, only a fragile weakness remains. Sophie, Lola is here to apologize to you. Jason knows my nature and methods. Even if he doesn't approve of what I did today, he can understand how I feel. So he didn't get angry with me, he just agreed that Lola should come and apologize to me. He has already made a concession, wanting me to let go of the misunderstanding. We are all smart people. Even with just a glance, we understand each other's meaning. I understand. I have decided to give Jason a chance. After all, he really didn't cheat. But there won't be a next time, no matter who it is. You don't need to use such means to deal with a girl. Before falling asleep, Jason brought up this topic. You should have told me first. I was sitting at the dressing table fixing my hair, staring at the handsome man in the mirror. You knew very well that I liked that necklace, yet you gave it to another woman. Isn't it natural for me to be angry? I can't imagine, if such a perfect person becomes tainted, whether I can still admire him as before. Jason calmly went to the bar to pour himself a glass of ice water. She cried the whole night because of your misunderstanding. This morning, when I saw her eyes swollen like that, I casually gave her the necklace as an apology. There wasn't a single flaw. I coldly scrutinized him for a long time. 2 million is just a small amount to us, casually giving it away is understandable. It all depends on whether the other party is worth it. The man tapped his finger on the marble countertop. He was waiting for me to think. This is the first time we've had a conflict in our relationship because of a third party. Our upbringing and manners have made us both somewhat weary of such matters. We are both people who value dignity. Jason, I love you. Jason's fingers paused. He probably didn't expect me to say that all of a sudden. Jason, I love the immaculate you, this is what makes you different from others. You never let women get close before because you have an emotional purity obsession, you want a clean marriage. I wasn't like this before, but your values have influenced me. Now, our life goals are the same. I hope your marriage never reaches a crossroads. Jason helplessly said, I don't. Jason is a very clear-headed person. He knows I care, so he won't give Lola any chance for illusions anymore. Without the CEO's support, Lola, as an intern, can only start with the most basic tasks. She used to have the chance to work shifts at the front desk. Now, Helen doesn't schedule her at all. I never signaled anyone to exclude her. Since Jason is sensible, I completely trust him. But for matters like this, I don't need to give any instructions. There are many who flatter the powerful and trample the weak. In less than half a month, the new secretary couldn't handle the gap in work expectations and the psychological blow, losing a noticeable amount of weight. The turning point happened after an important high-level meeting ended. That day, Lola was assigned to clean up the small conference room alone. The girl, wearing a skirt suit, knelt on the floor, holding a blade, struggling to remove chewing gum from the carpet. This scene was witnessed by Jason, who had returned temporarily. Sensing someone behind her, the girl embarrassedly hurried to stand up. Jason's gaze was deep and cold. Such silent scrutiny completely shattered Lola's self-esteem. Jason. The girl's tears unconsciously dripped down. She neither acted nor pretended. Jason was originally the son she admired but could never reach. When she was marginalized, she was almost resigned. Now, with herself in this state seen by a man, Lola wished she could push Jason away and rush out the door. After half a month apart, the once cheerful and lively girl had already become this fragile. This was the first time Jason lost his temper. He returned home and violently smashed the cup I handed him onto the ground. Water splashed everywhere. Why won't you let her go? Sophie, I respect and love you, yet time and again I endure your insults and harm towards her. What pleasure do you get from bullying the weak? I remembered that during Jason's study abroad, his younger sister who was in middle school committed suicide by jumping off a building due to school bullying. This became an indelible scar in his heart, and he deeply detested it. Sophie, don't let me see you hurting others with these methods again, or I will no longer stand by idly. I stared blankly at the man in front of me who had lost control of his emotions. For the first time after marriage, Jason lost his temper and got angry at me for a woman and for something I had never done. This feeling was very painful. It was like glass shattering. It was like water spilled cannot be retrieved. Jason promoted Lola to be his personal assistant. At the same time, he decisively fired Helen, the general assistant who had worked with him for 7 years. You need to figure out exactly who you are working for. Helen is stubborn in some ways. I am working for you, Jason. For some matters, I will privately contact the madam, but only regarding some personal issues. The man threw the shift schedule in front of Helen. Is that so? So righteous and self-righteous? Then does your professional ethics allow you to bully others with your power? Helen was speechless. She knew that her difficulty in helping Lola had been discovered, and her face showed a hint of weakness. Jason saw it clearly at a glance. No tolerance, unable to distinguish right from wrong, mixing personal and public matters to suppress colleagues. What qualifications do you still have to serve as the chief assistant? Helen walked out of the office in a defeated manner. Several assistants outside looked distressed. Helen, are you really leaving? Before the big tears could fall, Helen quickly wiped them away. Yes, I'm leaving. Sisters, see you around. Jason and I fell into a cold war, unprecedented. He stayed at a hotel. Lola came to pick up his laundry. Heartless and cruel, if Jason didn't want others to have it easy, he would only be worse than me. The live-in nanny had long received the call. She prepared his daily necessities. Lola was probably scared off by my temper. She took the suitcase the nanny packed and obediently took a taxi away. Before leaving, she cautiously said, Madam, Jason asked us to add each other as friends. If anything comes up, you can contact me. Helen left, and Lola took over her job. There was nothing to keep in touch about. I told him to get lost as far away as possible. Lola didn't understand why Jason was now staying in a hotel, yet I could still be so tough. There was confusion in her eyes, but more than that, a secret delight. Aunt shook her head and kindly comforted. Madam, why don't you just soften your stance and apologize to your husband? The two of you usually don't argue, so how did it suddenly escalate like this? Auntie has been with the Shin family for over 10 years. After spending so much time together, there are feelings involved. He's also waiting for me to admit my mistake and apologize, right? Ridiculous, why should I apologize? Jason never came back again. But Lola's Facebook was frequently updated, mostly about trips with Jason. Grandma Seong's custom-made evening gown. Invitation to a private equity fund gala. $1 million fireworks at the Summit Forum. The night breeze and view at the Sailboat Hotel. A photo with the CEO of Qingfeng Capital, and so on. All of these make one marvel that meeting the right person can open up so many firsts in life. This attracted over 100 likes below. Some even suggested in the comments that she start live streaming to show everyone the daily life of the upper class. Several mutual friends puzzledly sent me screenshots of her Facebook and added question marks. Now, if you want to know Jason's whereabouts, you can pretty much guess by looking at this secretary's Facebook. Everyone is smart. Speak just enough and no more. In the past, I was mostly the one accompanying Jason to events. If I happened to be busy or unwilling to go, his several assistants would take turns. Now, his regular female companion has changed. I have no mood to reply to friends' kind reminders, just simply sent a thank you emoji. At that time, I was privately asking Xia's accounting firm to help me with the division of assets. It was a huge and complex task. Because of the marriage alliance, the two groups held shares in each other. There was also the family fund I managed, countless investments in various properties, metals, stocks, and ships. There were even some overseas properties for which I needed to see the property certificate addresses and photos to roughly recall them. Organizing all these things was somewhat time-consuming. That day, I received a call from Jason, who had just returned from a business trip. Mom asked us to come home for dinner. We acted as if nothing had happened, just like usual. The driver went to the airport to pick up Jason, then came to pick me up, and we went to the Gu family together. Jason and Lola, who traveled with him, sat in the back seat, and they even saved a front passenger seat for me. Lola's schadenfreude was obvious. I laughed bitterly at my own situation. But this time I no longer asserted my authority and calmly accepted the passenger seat. Jason's expression was cold and his aura was terrifyingly intense. Sister-in-law, we just got back from Manhattan today. The matriarch said she wanted to see Jason, so I took the opportunity to buy some gifts and visit her together. Lola was still as noisy as before. However, her temperament was more mature and steady than usual. I suppose she has gained a lot of experience by staying by Jason's side during this time. I said nothing and closed my eyes to rest. Lola made a fool of herself. Jason pressed his thin lips tightly and remained silent all the way. Jason's mother was somewhat surprised when she saw Lola. The girl greeted them with ease and introduced herself. She seemed to be very skilled at pleasing others. In no time, she had Jason's mother laughing heartily. At the dining table, Lola chatted with Jason's mother about some interesting things Jason had encountered at work. Jason's mother nodded with a satisfied smile. Then she asked about Jason's life situation. She also took up the conversation very naturally. The atmosphere at the dining table became noticeably awkward. Lola still had a shallow dimpled smile at the corner of her mouth. Realizing she had said something wrong in the suddenly cold atmosphere, she thought it wasn't too foolish. Daily life matters were questions I should answer. Jason's mother was no fool. Jason remained silent. I elegantly wiped my mouth. Mom, I'm pregnant. Ah, really, Sophie? That's fantastic news. Jason's mother's eyes lit up. When did this happen? The man who had been cold and silent since I got in the car now showed a rare trace of emotion on his face. I raised my eyebrows with a mischievous smile. I just found out yesterday. The doctor said it's already been 3 weeks. Jason's mother was overjoyed and wanted to call Jason's father. She also kept nagging about accompanying me to the hospital tomorrow for a checkup. Lola was surprised, her big almond-shaped eyes looking so innocent. Sister-in-law, could you have the timing wrong? Jason and I have both been on business trips abroad for the past 2 months. Jason's mother looked stunned upon hearing this. No mistake, I specifically went to Professor Fong, a very famous obstetrician and gynecologist. It really is only 3 weeks. I emphasize the words 3 weeks. Jason knows very well that he hasn't been home during this time. This child is not his. The gentle expression on the man's face suddenly disappeared. Sophie. Jason is brewing a storm about to explode, yet he is trying hard to suppress it, seemingly waiting for me to give an explanation. I smile even more triumphantly. Congratulations to me, Jason, I am going to be a mother. Don't make such a joke. He spoke coldly. I placed the pregnancy test report I had prepared long ago on the table. Unfortunately, this is not a joke. During the time you were honeymooning with your lover, I was lonely and unbearable, so I also spent some good nights with a few former lovers. Now I don't even know who the father of the child is. If you don't mind, I can let the child call you Dad, but he has to take my surname. Every word I said made the man's face colder. Enough. Until I said the last sentence, Jason finally couldn't bear it anymore. I ignored the man's anger. Jason, how does it feel to be cuckolded? Jason never expected that I would openly cheat and then righteously announce to the world that I was pregnant with someone else's child. I never cheated on you. The man clenched his fists tightly, veins bulging. It seemed that this news really hit him hard. We were just working. No boundaries crossed, I never cheated. I touched my belly, not wanting to hear his belated explanation. Your secretary flaunts your daily work life together on Facebook every day. Jason, didn't you see it? Even our friends noticed the unusual signs and warned me to be careful. You still think it's not crossing the line? If you can take her out to watch the stars and the moon, then I can talk poetry, songs, and philosophy of life with other men. Jason rarely got angry. But I didn't care much, instead, I felt a bit regretful. What a pity, Jason. You didn't manage to find a man to bring back to Shingarden with you. Compared to your provocation today, I am still somewhat inferior. Jason couldn't accept it. He believed he was straightforward with Lola. Between them, aside from work communication, there was little interaction left. He just wanted to use Lola to reprimand those around him. He didn't understand why we ended up like this. Before this, he always thought our marriage was very stable and happy. Sister-in-law, Jason and I are innocent. In front of Jason's mother, Lola was eager to defend herself. Jason's mother and I talked on the phone a few times. To make work easier, I took this opportunity to come and visit. This is all part of my job. You haven't worked outside, so maybe you don't know. As the CEO's chief secretary, you have to handle everything meticulously, but Jason and I really haven't crossed any lines. Lola sat beside Jason, head held high. Really? On the way here, you sat next to Jason, letting the madam sit in the front passenger seat. Did your meticulousness suddenly go to the dogs? I ruthlessly exposed her. The woman was speechless, not knowing how to respond. I didn't let Jason off either. Jason, is this the chief assistant you personally trained for 2 months? Helen is also a woman, also your secretary. She has been with you since graduating from college. Has she ever sat beside you? She is even more meticulous than Lola. Have I ever targeted her once? Jason's breathing was rapid, and the corners of his eyes were already reddening. Let's get a divorce, Jason. The man pulled me home, leaving Lola behind at the Shin family estate. Since the Cold War, this was the first time he came home. The house had long been tidied up by me. Even the live-in maids had been dismissed by me. Jason stopped in his tracks, stunned and dazed. The home we had lived in together for 3 years now felt unfamiliar. He finally realized that my divorce had been premeditated. Jason, with red eyes and disbelief, held me tightly in his arms. Sophie, I haven't cheated. The man's lost and low voice lingered in my ears. You want to abort the child so we can start over. It sounded like a joke, and I retorted sarcastically. That is my child, why would I abort it? My calmness seemed to pierce Jason's heart. I haven't done anything, you clearly know that. I broke free from the man's restraint. Yes, I know, you are still pure. But, what use is that? You had Lola come to the house to pick up your suitcase, knowing it would upset me. You took her to all occasions, knowing I would be criticized. You know everything, yet you still did it. You tolerated her provocations, embarrassed me, and forced me to seek peace. You despise me for bullying the weak, but Jason, have you seen that so-called weak person deliberately provoking my limits time and again? I cried, recalling all the past, unable to believe that my marriage could be so fragile. You know, she has feelings for you, right? I've warned you long ago, Jason. Ignorance is one thing, but knowingly committing a fault is the most fatal. Jason's body trembled, unable to stand steadily, his voice like a mosquito's buzz. Sorry, Sophie. She always reminds me of Dale, and I'm afraid you'll become one of those monsters too. Dale also has two sweet dimples. I just don't want to see her cry. I've never had any feelings for her. Watching the man's confession, I felt no ripple inside. Maybe he is innocent, but I don't want to foolishly hand over my weakness to anyone who might hurt me. Jason disagreed with the divorce. He hired another elite male executive assistant. He even got drunk in the wine cellar. I struggled with all my might to help him to the sofa. He has good drinking manners, quiet and easy to manipulate. But just as I was about to leave, the man, with red eyes, held me in his arms, fragile and pleading. Sophie, can we not get a divorce? If you want this child, then give birth to him. As for Lola, big companies have their own rules and regulations. They won't dismiss someone without reason, especially if they haven't made a mistake. It's just the CEO's deliberate distancing. Undoubtedly, it's sending a signal outward. This CEO's former personal assistant seems to have overnight transformed from a lucky girl envied by everyone to the subject of private ridicule. When Lola found me, her original youthful beauty was gone, and no amount of makeup could hide her haggard look. I saw you at the company on your first day. Such an opening line surprised me a little. That day, I brought you tea and stood by your side waiting for your other instructions. You were chatting with Jason about what would be appropriate to give as a wedding gift for a friend, and you never once glanced at me. The girl was full of sarcasm. People like Jason, if it weren't for work, I would never have had the chance to meet in my lifetime. And you? You just happened to be born into a good family, so you could marry him. That night at the auction, I told Jason that it was really impolite for the leader to drive while the employee sat in the back seat. I said I would switch back when I saw you. Jason was non-committal. The girl seemed to recall the pride and spirit of that day. I dealt with the waiter and ordered a cup of coffee and dessert for her as well. The girl's eyes turned red from my usual arrogant composure, her hatred growing stronger. What right do you, a second-generation rich kid, have to look down on me? Lola looked at me with utter contempt, saying you don't deserve Jason's love at all. Is that so? Then did you get it? I leisurely watched the person in front of me lose their composure. That childish face was trying hard to stay calm. Isn't it because I threatened you? Otherwise, why couldn't you stand it and wanted a divorce? I stirred my coffee slowly. Because I cheated and am pregnant with someone else's child. Didn't you know that? You. Lola was choked by my words. The girl lost control of her emotions several times. What are you so proud of? Bad temper, no job, and cheating to get pregnant with another man's bastard child. Do you think Jason would still want you? Slap. I mercilessly gave the woman a slap. First, no matter how old I am still 2 years younger than the Jason you obsess over. Then, who do you think you are to call my child a bastard? Finally, I've wanted to slap you for a long time, you fool. When I was 4 months pregnant. The Shin family knew there was no room for negotiation. Under the pressure from the Shin family, Jason agreed to a peaceful divorce with me. The two families' shareholdings are extensive, and the originally agreed strategic cooperation remains unchanged because both sides benefit, so the elders see no need to alter it. The division of premarital property was very clear. Both parties had no objections. After marriage, we managed finances together, and I kept everything well organized. Jason calmly signed the papers. He was like a white crane fallen from the altar, having broken his own wings, the blood shocking to the eye, staining the once pure feathers red. We divorced with dignity. We said goodbye to each other. When the child was born, he took my surname, Xia. Outsiders thought he was premature, but his genes were indeed excellent. Mom kept asking me who the child's father was. I didn't tell her. The so-called one-night stand man was just something I made up, but they didn't need to know. Because it was a boy, my parents were no longer in a hurry to urge me to go on blind dates. They planned to take advantage of their youth to raise the child as an heir. As the little brat grew up, he increasingly resembled his father. Without the constraints of marriage, I have lived freely and unrestrained these past few years. I have also dated a few young and handsome boyfriends. Helen occasionally chats with me casually. From her, I roughly heard some gossip. Lola didn't last half a year and left because she couldn't stand it. But everyone in this circle is well informed. No big company would dare to hire her. Jason has become increasingly cold and solitary over the past 2 years, focusing on managing his career. Every year-end shareholders meeting, my father asks me to return to the country to serve on his behalf. I know what the elders are thinking, find it amusing, but I'm too lazy to expose it. After the meeting, Jason would pull me into the car, saying it was on the way to pay New Year's visits to my parents. Ben really likes Jason. Someone secretly taught him that this is his dad. He would wiggle his butt and shout "Daddy, hug me" whenever he saw Jason. Jason loves him very much and never refuses. Now that the child is gradually growing up, how could he not understand? During the New Year period, I will stay in the country to reunite with my family. Jason turned down all his work to accompany me. He wanted to ask if I wanted to remarry. I refused. Marriage should be about quality, not quantity. Otherwise, the one who suffers is yourself. As for Ben, every time he sees Jason, he is visibly happier than usual. He insists on sitting between Jason and me, calling out Mom on one side and Dad on the other, laughing non-stop. I tapped the back of his head, telling him not to shout randomly. Jason, with red eyes, was at a loss. He had a million apologies he wanted to say to me. But I no longer needed them.